The catastrophe began when wormholes started showing up in the sky and large monsters started coming out of them. The people in the city are frozen in terror at what they are seeing. Everything is surrounded by flames. The people began to panic when a large monster landed on top of a building and stared at them. Later on, it was proven that a world similar to Earth existed across the universe. On that planet, a certain event occurred that led to the planet being torn to pieces. As a result, that planet started to merge with the Earth. The people couldn't believe what they were seeing. A huge tree growing in the middle of the city. This event was later called the adhesion phenomena. Humans lost control all over the land, and eventually they began calling it dungeons. A soldier is fleeing from a monster. He then fires his rifle, which does little to no damage. It then attacked him, which led to him spewing blood. With his back against the wall and unable to stand up, the monster tried to attack again, but an unknown strength helped him catch the monster's attack. When the planets fused, it wasn't just monsters that were transported. The event also expanded the limits of the human body. The soldier's strength grew and reached the status of B. This helped the soldier defeat the monster by slamming it to the ground. The event affected all of the humans, but the abilities that were awakened were different for everyone. A few of these people were made into a group that specialized in taking control over the dungeons. They were then known as the adventurers. Not long after, organizations focused on developing the skills of adventurers were created throughout the world. The best institution in the Republic of Korea, which has produced the best adventurers for the past 25 years, was the prestigious Soldier High School. A student named Diab Choi is seen being cheered by the people. He is the son of a famous adventurer and an elf. At the age of 17, he had already been on a dungeon expedition and returned 14 times. Yu Jar-young, a student at Dongkang High, received an email about their pending hospital bills and a text message saying that they have work to do. He then met up with a person named Im Jae-won, and with him were their clients. The client was furious to know that the student was assigned to the work. Jar-young was insulted and called out one of the clients. The man named Lee Pil-gyu, who was a former silver-ranked adventurer, was insulted and wanted to teach Jar-young a lesson. Little do they know that Jar-young, who works as a dungeon smuggler, has already been on more expeditions than Pil-gyu. Both are itching to fight one another. While both Pil-gyu and Jar-young are warming up, the client then revealed that injury was not the cause of Pil-gyu's retirement, but rather his assaulting his teammates due to his nasty temper. Jar-young, who is still unfazed, still insulted and mocked Pil-gyu. Pil-gyu threw a punch, but Jar-young was able to dodge it easily. Enraged at what happened, Pil-gyu was about to throw another attack, but Jar-young was able to kick him in the face first. He was surprised at how fast Jar-young's reflexes and attack were. After analyzing his abilities, Jar-young's had already reached the level of pro. Jae-won also analyzed Pil-gyu while spectating the fight and is sure that Pil-gyu used to be a tank before retiring. Pil-gyu, who underestimated Jar-young before, is now serious. After the adhesion phenomena, humans began to awaken their abilities. Adventurers then started training that matched their skills. A tank is a role in which you protect your teammates from the dangers of the dungeon. Jar-young sensed that Pil-gyu had released his true power and had to evade any incoming attacks. The tension broke when Jar-young was warned that if more damage was inflicted, his pay would be reduced. With confidence, he picked up a steel pole and positioned himself for an attack. Pil-gyu, with his full power, rushed towards Jar-young and was hit by a destructive force that made him throw up blood and be incapable of continuing the fight. It is said that the person who can deal with a powerful attack in a single point is called a damage dealer, who is more skilled than the others. While laying on the ground, Pil-gyu noticed that the move Jar-young showed was familiar to a person who was once known. Little did he know that person was Jar-young's father. Flashback a couple of years ago, when Jar-young was still a young boy, he admired and respected the adventurer Yu Song, who is also his father. Yu Song was part of the first generation of heroes. The history of the first generation is a great legend. But for the people who experienced it, it was hell. They had to go on expeditions without knowing what they were about to face. Monsters and items that are so common now were so rare and dangerous for them. The surviving adventurers passed on their experience to the new generation, and they were known as heroes. Dragon Slayer Yu Song was a nickname given to him for becoming the first person to hunt down a dragon. He is also Asia's top adventurer. In the middle of his training, he threw up blood and was weakened. It was then known that he had come into contact with a deadly poison during his expeditions. In his weakened state, the colleagues he trusted betrayed him and took all of his treasures, which led him to suffering physically and mentally. Years passed by, and people had already forgotten the Dragon Slayer Yu Song. The client, who still can't believe that Pilgyu lost to a student, was lectured by Jaryong that bragging about beating up his own teammates is a sign that the person is weak. He was then told by Jaewon that their fee has now been doubled due to the provocation started by the client. He was furious with the sudden change but couldn't do anything further and just accepted the new agreement. Jaryong is then asked if he knows about the Imperial Wasp. The Imperial Wasp is considered the most dangerous monster, not just in Korea but all over the world. They nested on what was once known as Yodo and now became Korea's demon realm. According to the client, a huge raid was mobilized, which consisted of the government's army and 7 white-rank adventurers as the attack squad. But with their mission failing, they did succeed in defeating the Queen Bee. One of the 7 white-rank adventurers stole the royal jelly, which is a nutritional supplement that the wasp feeds to a newborn queen. Confused as to why a white rank would steal a supplement, Jaryong was then told that if a human eats the royal jelly, they can be reborn again. The information that all of the pathways that lead towards the dungeon are strictly managed by the association is incorrect. Jaewon then opened the door that led to the dungeon, and he gave advice to Jaryong, who was still thinking about the royal jelly. Dungeons were created across the earth, and among them, 2 are considered the greatest within Korea. The first is Jeju-do, a volcanic mountain range dungeon, and the other is merged with the Igar jungle. It is located in what used to be the middle of Seoul. Most of it is unexplored, and many adventurers have lost their lives exploring the region. The subordinate who has the royal jelly got disconnected and may have run away or gotten into an accident. Jaewon reminded Jaryong to focus on the task and not be distracted. As Jaryong jumped into the jungle, he noticed the large footprint on the ground. A girl hiding from something is breathing heavily. Her name is Jin Se-rom, a first year at Warrior High. While taking her midterm inside the dungeon, she encountered a huge monster that wasn't supposed to be there. Her midterm examination is just to collect coins in an area that is ranked lowest. It is also considered a beginner's training ground. She was then attacked by the huge monster, and with no options left, she positioned herself using her bow and arrows. Titan Ape is the name of the monster with a danger rank of 3 stars. Her arrows had no effect against this monster. She then used her skill called Flame Bombardment, a skill that imbued magic on the tip of the arrows. It is a skill that she left reserved as a last resort. Yet the monster dodged her attack. The monster then ran towards her. Se-rom, who is frozen by fear, is then saved by Jaryong by landing a hit on the monster's face, which left Se-rom in awe. Jaryong was surprised that the attack he made was not enough for the monster to be knocked down. He then pulled out a tool from his pocket and leaped towards the monster. It released a bright light, which incapacitated the monster for a moment. This tool is called the Stunning Torch, an item made from the scales of the flickering fish that lived in the deep sea dungeons. He then warns Se-rom to get out of the dungeon while she still can, but is surprised that instead of leaving, she is following him. Annoyed about the situation, Jaryong asked what she wanted from him. Se-rom wanted to thank him for saving her life and offered him a job. He then noticed the soldier high crest on her and wanted to leave immediately before threatening her. It enraged Jaryong more when Se-rom started talking about the bounties for dungeon smugglers, but then offered Jaryong an item called Enkil's Blood for the down payment of the job, which is helping her finish her midterm examination. While talking to each other, Jaryong reminded her that they only had a few seconds to escape, and now time has run out. The monster then leapt towards them. Jaryong then handed the staff to Se-rom so that she could imbue her magic with it. While Jaryong is running and getting the monster's attention, she then throws the staff at Jaryong with her magic inside it. Disappointed at how little magic was placed on the staff, Jaryong still went and attacked the monster with his full strength. He hit the monster's neck and officially knocked it out. Jinsong Group is ranked 4th in South Korean business. Their heir married an elf, which resulted in the birth of Jin Se-rom. She respected adventures and wanted to be one of them, but was served the harsh reality that she could only be above average and nothing more as an adventurer. This did not stop her. She kept on fighting, even if she would be isolated from everyone. Surprised at what she witnessed, she can't believe that a person the same age as her defeated the huge monster. Jaryong then realized that the goggles handed out by Jaewon broke and masked his true identity, which is why Se-rom didn't know they were of the same age before. She wanted to pay for his tuition, knowing that adventurous schools are expensive. But he then told Sejong that he wasn't enrolled in any adventurous school, which surprised her, and asked him who taught him how to fight. She was in disbelief when Joryong told her that he taught himself how to fight and went to a normal school. As proof, Joryong took and kept her ID. And lastly, he put his arm around her while taking a photo of them. He then told her that the photo would be proof that she is a smuggler's accomplice and would receive the same punishment if his work ever got known. Realizing that she might have gotten involved with someone more dangerous, all she can do is smile at the camera. Will Joryong be able to complete his work and help Sejong finish her midterm examination?